Hello everyone, it's Dave. We're out in my first generation 1990 Mazda Miata. It's a car that I absolutely love, a car renowned for having some great handling. But this particular car, being 35 years old now, the suspension is getting a little tired. So I've gone ahead and I've purchased the Flying Miata Stage 2.5 suspension upgrade kit and some IL Motorsports bushing. So I'm fully upgrading the suspension. Links will be in the description below. A lot of people seem to think that the first thing to do to improve the performance, the suspension on a 1990 Miata, is to upgrade the sway bars. This is Dave, and this is Dave's Auto DIY. Sway bars connect the left side of the suspension to the right side and help to keep the car flatter under heavy cornering. Here you can see my car leaning hard to the outside of the corner, and the sway bar helps transfer some of the load to the inside tire. We'll see what happens with the new sway bars to see if the car is flatter under heavy cornering. The first step will be to remove this plastic under tray, and it's held on with some 10mm nuts. Alright, so with the cover off, I have soaked all the nuts with PB Blaster overnight, penetrating oil, trying to get the bolts nuts loose. And I've spent the last few hours doing so. So now they are all loose, so you don't have to watch me loosen bolts for 3 hours. And so now the next step is to remove the brackets holding the sway bar. That's with a 12mm. The new FM sway bars come with new brackets and bushing, so we won't be reusing those on the front, but we will be reusing the bolts. And that's the brackets off. Then you'll remove the top bushings that connect the end links to the sway bar using a 14mm. Okay. And I'm going to pull off this bracket to make it easier to slide the whole sway bar out. Now work it out the driver's side. Then we're going to remove the bottom of the end links. You don't need to do this if you're keeping your old end links, but I'm replacing mine, so I need to remove the bottom as well, which is also 14 mils. We're throwing out the end links, but we're keeping the bolts. See the old one that came out and the new one. The new one is significantly thicker, and that will help the car to corner flatter. Right, moving around to the back, we have similar setup, only everything is it's broken. I broke the nut. Broke the stud off. So I carried on removing the rest of the nuts on the studs for the brackets with a 14mm. Thankfully, didn't break anymore. You do need to keep the brackets as they will be reused to hold on the new sway bar on the rear. Here's a tip. Do the end links first before you do the bracket, so it's not flopping around as much. And that is a well-used end link. Okay, I will take this off, and I am going to see if I can fish it through with that end link installed, so I don't have to deal with it outside the car. Oh, no problem. So I went back and ground down the stud that I had broken earlier and then drilled it out so that it'd be able to install a new bolt in its place. So these are the front bushings. Comes with special grease. I'm going to put a little dab of grease all the way around the inside of the bushing. Smear that around to make sure everything is greased so it doesn't squeak. Okay, so now that we have the bushings greased, they have a little split in them. So I split them and put them around the sway bar. There is no front or back. It doesn't matter if the split is to the front or the back. I put them roughly where the brackets will be, and it's time to fish it through. Just get it up and in and over the tie rods, and we're there. We got new brackets to go over these new bushings, and I'll fit that on there, and we will be using the original hardware to attach this back to the frame. So then we will torque these up to 20 foot-pounds. Okay, I've got the rear bar to put in now. Put the bushings on, the new bushings, in this step down area, and we'll fish it through. Unlike the front, there is a left and right. So the bar, the U points forward, and the ends angle in. So we have to make sure we get it through that way. So this is the bolt that I broke. Well, this is the new one. So I drilled it out, found another hardened bolt of about the same size and length. And I'll be using that. Okay, I put on the nuts back on these bolts. The 14 millimeter will tighten them up, and then we can go ahead and torque these to 20 foot-pounds. So this is the 35-year-old end link. The bushings, the rubber parts are destroyed. This is a brand new Flying Miata end link. It comes in 5 pieces. It comes with instructions. It's easy. You put one nut on the reverse thread end, the other nut on the bushing end. We'll install it this way around. And to adjust the length of it, you can simply rotate the center piece. You can see how as I'm rotating it, both ends are extending. And if I turn it the other way, both ends are like sucking in. That's how you adjust the length. When we get the length we want, we will tighten up these jam nuts into the middle piece, and everything will be secure. Okay, so I've got the end link on. It's still loose on the bottom side. I positioned it into the furthest from the closest to the end hole, furthest from the front of the car, which is the Flying Miata recommended setting. And I used a 13 millimeter wrench to adjust this middle section until it was relatively, the length of the end length was such that the end of the sway bar is relatively straight. And I eyeball it too, using the old end link just to make sure it's about the same height. So that side is ready to be torqued up once we do this side. So now this side, I'll do the same thing. Now that that side is in position, I will extend this end link until it's about the right length. There we go. And now that is in, I can put the nut back on, and we should be about the right height now, because this side is level with this side. Now we will take the 17mm wrench and a 13mm wrench and just jam these nuts onto the centerpiece to keep it in position on both sides. All right, so I've got it leveled up. I've got the jam nuts, the 17mm jam nuts, jammed up against the 13mm centerpiece. I've tightened up the top bolt enough, just hand tight. Now we will take it to spec, which is 30 foot-pounds. These top ones, these ball joints, you can do without the car being loaded. But the bottom ones, they do need to be done while the car is under load. All right, there's 30 pounds. So I'll do the other side as well, and then we'll head to the back. In the back, we have it mounted in the center holes. Again, I've extended it to a height that has the bar roughly level and about the same length as the original end links. I've jammed the jam nuts up, and I will set the ball joint to 30 pounds. Okay, and put the bottom bushing on the rear to 30 foot-pounds as well. There we go. All right, so I'll finish up torquing up the other side the same way. I'll put the under tray back on, and we'll go for a test drive and see how it works. So I promised you some before and after shots, and I realize it's hard to see that there's any difference from these photos. But I assure you, in real life, you can feel the difference. All right, so I've had a chance to drive the car for a couple days now. And yeah, I can tell the difference with the new sway bars. I can feel that it does corner flatter on the on-ramps to the highway and whatnot. So I'm quite happy with this upgrade. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Dave's Auto DIY.